This is Johnny and Jose with Tiger Bomb MMA, and we'll be going over Bellator 225 Pitbull versus Sanchez 2, just the main card, because this is our first Bellator event that we're breaking down, first major Bellator event of the year. And we haven't really gone over a lot of Bellator, but when it comes to Bellator, a lot of the fights on the undercard aren't really worth talking about. And there's like too much research on guys with records that are 4-10 that I'm not going to really want to go into. So the main card is where we'll stick right now. We'll go over every bit of the main card and give you our thoughts and predictions. And yeah, we'll get started with the opener, which is a fight between Tyrone Fortune and Jack May. This is actually the second fight. The first fight, which happened about 6 months ago, Tyrone Fortune happened to knee Jack May in the testicles, and it ended up being a no contest. It was an accidental low blow, and then oddly enough, it didn't get rematched immediately. They kind of went their separate ways. Jack May fought Kyle Nolblit and lost that one by split decision, and Tyrone Fortune ended up beating Saeed Sawama. What I find interesting is that when I saw Jack May in the spot, I think he's a short notice replacement for Tyrone Fortune to fight. I remember like this dude's name sounds familiar. Like I don't keep track of this guy because he's no longer in one of the major organizations other than Bellator now. And I just remember Derek Lewis beating his ass. I'm like, oh, that's the guy. I remember that name. But currently, the odds on this one are that Jack May is a plus 450 underdog. Tyrone Fortune comes back 715, minus 715 for Tyrone Fortune. And honestly, I maybe bet it. It's all up to you guys if you want to touch this one. Tyrone Fortune should win this fight pretty damn easily. He's got the wrestling and the improved striking. The only issue, of course, is his one loss being against Timothy Johnson, who's doing really well in Bellator. He was an ex-UFC vet and actually moved to Bellator and has been doing surprisingly well. And he got knocked out by Timothy Johnson. Timothy Johnson's a big wrestler, nice mustache too. And the issue with Tyrone Fortune is that I think he got a little too comfortable, as some wrestlers do with their stand-up, and he tried to push the knockout and gets knocked out. From what I saw in the first fight between these two, Tyrone Fortune really would have done whatever he wanted. He took him down easily. He controlled him up against the cage, happened to land the low blow. I'm not accusing Jack May of, doing the Diego Sanchez, but it is what it is. He got the no contest, but yeah, Tyrone Fortune should get this one. If not in the first round, I predicted in the first 2 rounds. So I think Tyrone Fortune wins this one by knockout. I think he's just getting better and better. He's learned from his lesson from his last fight, and he should get the knockout TKO in round number 2.
I think this fight is actually going to mirror that scene from They Live, where Roddy Piper tries to force the sunglasses onto Keith David, and then they start that infamous brawl that was also choreographed, via South Park. I think he's gonna, suplex him, and then really ram his knee, ram his knee into Jack, whatever's left of Jack May's testicles.
Are you accusing Tyrell of being a dirty motherfucker?
Yeah. I mean, they'll be friends in the end, but I think Tyrell's going to scramble Jack May's testicles pretty good this time around. The other thing is Jack May is 39 years old, and he is tall as hell. He's 6'8". Holy macaroni!
Yeah.
But whatever may have resembled Jack May's prime at any point in his career is way long gone. This guy's not like, it's not like we're talking about DC or Hendo or anything toward the tail end of their career, of their storied careers, and he's going to come in and handle Tyrone Fortune. Tyrell, I think, will pretty much act out that scene from They Live, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then go check out that classic. Who we should be sponsored by. I don't think did Roddy Piper already pass? I think he
Yeah,
passed away.
he's been dead for some time.
Okay, he's been dead. Anyway, still one of my favorite movies. It's one of those movies that I can watch over and over again. I love that movie. It brings me back to a time where LA was a shithole. But unlike now, it's not a shithole with a bunch of trash and a bunch of people whining about being, a shithole and there being a bunch of trash out on the street.
So essentially, the only thing that changed is that there's less neon lights.
Pretty much. Anyway, so yeah, wait, did you go over the odds for?
Yeah, I went over the odds. Ridiculous odds for Tyrone Fortune. If you can get a prop, I don't have the props out yet, like because where I usually bet, they don't really have a whole ton of Bellator props because God knows why. But yeah, if you can get the under or maybe a knockout, I would go with Tyrone Fortune by probably under a knockout.
Yeah, minus 650 for Bellator. That's pushing it. Jack May plus 470. There is no value on Jack May whatsoever. But yeah, they're really inflating the odds on Tyrone Fortune. That is freaking insane.
Just wait till the next fight, buddy.
Yeah, he's still gonna win, so he might be worth parlaying, maybe. But yeah, Tyrone Fortune all the way.
Next fight, I should have mentioned that was a heavyweight fight, but next fight at lightweight, we've got Usman Nurmagomedov versus Mike Hamill. So let me see what my notes got here, because I was doing research on the card today, and I've got power of Usman and name of Khabib. Yeah, this guy is one of the, I called him Chechen last time, the dudes from Dagestan, and I'm like, oh boy, someone called me out on the comments. I'm like, oh shit, you're not going to see me in a couple of weeks. But no, these Dagestani dudes, so he's part of the crew, the Nurmagomedov crew. And to put it to you this way, the odds right now minus 770 for Nurmagomedov, and Mike Hamill comes back plus 475. I went a little stupid there just looking at this minus 770 for Nurmagomedov. Interesting because he is undefeated. He's 11-0. He's a huge favorite right now. He's fighting a guy in Mike Hamill who lost his last fight to Adam Borics, who's pretty good. He's a good guy. And I saw that fight. I like some of the stuff that Mike Hamill did. He was a bit aggressive in the first round. He's a wrestler. He trains at the MMA lab. And to be honest with you guys, there might be a little bit of value in Mike Hamill because he's quite aggressive. From my notes I have here is that Usman, his stand-up is mediocre, but his ground game is kind of solid. That name recognition is just really inflating those odds. And if you guys know anything about Bellator, you'll hear the name Gracie a lot, and you'll see the name Gracie on the undercard, and you'll see the guy who's like maybe 1-0. He's a Gracie who's 1-0 fighting a guy who's like 4-3, and you're like easy pickings, right? Because the name value, this Gracie's going to take him down and submit him. You put $50 on a minus 450 Gracie, and then he gets TKO'd in the third round. That's what Bellator is all about, baby. And I get a feeling that's what's going to happen here, really, because Usman, I'll put it to you this way. The X factor is Khabib as a trainer. We have no idea how good Khabib is as a trainer. And I'm guessing Khabib has got a lot of off time now, and he's potentially helping his crew improve. And the last Nurmagomedov we talked crap on ended up dominating Jared Gooden this past weekend. Abu Bakr. We were talking all this crap, all the lesser Nurmagomedov. He goes out there looking incredible, like takes him down, controls the dude, hurts him on the feet. So although I wasn't very impressed by Usman and his overall game, you never know. It could have easily just progressed. His last fight was 5 months ago. Another thing I wanted to bring up is that he was fighting in Russia a little bit, and sometimes things happen. Like I kind of saw some of those stoppages that he got. Like he's got quite a couple TKOs in the first round, but they were a little suspect. Like maybe they're a little too early, if you know what I'm saying. When you look at the records, like combined the last three opponents for Usman, they are 37-26 compared to the last three opponents for Mike. They're 35-9. So one could say Mike has fought the better competition. He's a little scrappy guy. I kind of want to bet on him, but I might stay away from this one. I think overall Usman should get the win. I think he's got enough of the technique to stifle Mike Hamill. So I'll go with Usman. I really can't go against the grain right now. So I might put a little bit on Mike Hamill, but yeah, for me it's probably dog or pass. But I'm gonna go with Usman Nurmagomedov to get this one. Probably, I want to say either late submission or a decision. Probably split decision.
Well, here's the thing that you have to take into consideration is that there's levels to wrestling and grappling. And so, Mike is at whatever level, right? Whether it be mid, top level, whatever level he's at, but he's at a level in, like, let's say, Greco-Roman, whatever his style is. But he's most likely at like the American level, right? And then there's the Chechen level, right? These Chechen guys, they train, you have to realize,
not Chechen.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this Chechen level is a whole nother level. These guys train with bears, they wrestle, I don't know, they wrestle old ladies. I don't know, man. They just wrestle anybody. If they see an old lady with a, basket on her head walking down, a lonesome trail or something, they'll just go out and wrestle her. But anyway, so there's levels to that wrestling, and not to say that, because he inherited the Nurmagomedov name, he's, Khabib light or whatever. He is training with Khabib, yes, and he doesn't show his age, but he looks like a pretty young guy in his 20s. He still has a ways to go to even consider being in the same stratosphere as Khabib. But one thing is that with as you mentioned, Khabib having that time off now, he has time to hopefully fill some of these guys' holes. Take that as you will. Yeah, I don't know if anyway, yeah, it was a bad joke. These guys, they take Chechen baths and anyway.
Dagestani baths, dude.
Yeah, man.
Don't get us killed, dude.
So anyway, yeah, what happens in those bathhouses stays in those bathhouses. Anyway, so Khabib is looking to fill all his guys' holes. And that means, making sure that their wrestling, their grappling is up to par, up to his par. As close. He's gonna work these guys. He's gonna fill them holes. As far as grappling, and then down the line, their striking. Hopefully will get better as well. But anyway, point I'm trying to make is, if Khabib has anything to say about this, he's gonna probably make sure that Usman's grappling is on point. I don't expect any fireworks in this particular matchup. So I'll probably just take Usman by decision. I don't think I'm gonna. I just took a look at the odds. I don't know if these are up. What I'm looking at is up to date, but Usman is, in between, somewhere around -800 to -1,000.
Very likely, yes.
On some of these, and I'm like, no freaking way. It's not. I don't know if people realize, but it's not Khabib that's fighting. So those odds, they are ridiculous.
Yeah.
The odds should be closer to like the Gracie fight. It should be like minus. I would say even if they were like at -200, plus 180 or something, I'd still say that's way too high. Mm-hmm. But yeah, -900. That's like that's like betting on Kat Zingano to beat that one, that one woman lady, that looks like a female Dada or something.
So we're talking about the next Bellator card.
Yeah. Yeah, no way, man. That's, betting on Usman at these odds is kind of like betting on Kat Zingano at these odds. How I would never do that, nor would I suggest anybody do that. If you want to look for a prop, maybe throw a few bucks on a prop for Usman if they're available to you. It's worth a shot, but yeah, -900, that is ridiculous for this fight. So that being said, I anticipate him winning, but I do not anticipate ever placing a bet like that with this guy.
And before we break down the only women's fight in the main card, go like us on Instagram. I posted a video of my reaction to the Woodley submission, and I made sure to look extra, extra douchey. I have a backwards hat and everything, and I have long hair right now, so it's like it just gives the aura of me being an asshole. So go check that out at Tiger Bomb MMA. Also, shout out to Ernest. I hope I'm getting the last name correct. Manak. He actually messaged us this morning and left a comment saying, "Hey, you're going to break down this card." I was like, "Well, we weren't necessarily intending on it," but I'm like, "What the hell? Let's do it." So yeah, again, like our stuff. We appreciate it. Leave comments. I really actually enjoy checking the comments and being like, "Oh, is it going to be a good one or a bad one?" Usually good. We really appreciate it completely. And we'll probably keep doing Bellator cards. Actually, there's one for the Grand Prix coming up for the light heavyweight. I have an intro that I created, like the Tiger Bomb intro. I'm dying to post it. That's like my favorite one so far. But to get back to the main card, we've got the Japanese judoka Kana Watanabe versus Alejandra Azul Lara. I actually really like Alejandra Lara. I've been kind of a fan of hers for quite a bit of time, like her fights with Ilima McFarlane. I just really like that curly hair. But right now we've got Kana. She's a roughly, yeah, she's pretty damn hot. You just see her when she does her weigh-ins. Plus 125 underdog for Kana. Alexandra comes in a slight favorite, -150. When I saw the card, I was like, "Oh, Alejandra Lara's fighting. She's fighting an undefeated Japanese judoka, Olympic level judoka." I'm like, she must be the underdog, but I'm glad they're actually giving her the respect. Disappointed because it's not going to be a secret. I'm going to bet on Alejandra. I like everything about her. I like her scrappiness. She reminds me of a female Chito Vera, Cheetah Lara, if you will. I really like everything about her. She's really scrappy. She's got good. I wouldn't say her striking's fantastic, but her striking's pretty good. Good kicks, good takedown defense, nice scrambling ability. She's able to withstand, I think, the current champion, who is Julianna Velazquez. No relation to Cain Velasquez. She's a big, strong girl, Julianna Velazquez, who's also a judoka. And I saw that fight, and she was able to do pretty well against her. And Kana Watanabe, she's a shorter girl. She's 32 years old. She's 5'6" compared to Lara's 5'7". Not really impressed by what I've seen from her. I know she's an Olympic caliber judoka, but she doesn't have much on the feet. She's she's very one dimensional, but she's good at that one trick that she does, which is the judo. If she can get on top of you, she can control some of these girls. But I just think Alejandra's a little too scrappy, and she will refuse. She will be strimping her ass off the bottom and trying to get back up. So I see her having the more explosive moments on the feet. Even if she gets taken down 7 times, she'll be getting back up 8. So that's the risk when you're playing this one, because we don't really know how good Kana really is at these levels. This is probably the best fighter she's going to fight currently, right? Everyone she's fought, they're not the best records, really. But at least I know for Alejandra, although she's lost to actually the former champion and the current champion, Ali Malay McFarland and Juliana Velasquez, like, she held her own in those fights, and I can respect that. She's fought way better competition. I'm going to go with her to get this one by decision. I think she's just going to use her footwork, maybe jab and kick, get enough points in there to get the win. I don't think she's going to want to play too much with Kana's ground game, nor do anything that's going to risk her losing, because she's on the verge of a rematch with Juliana. And, I think she's strong enough and smart enough to fend off any attacks from Watanabe. So I'll go with Laura to win this one by decision.
Yeah, picturing Cheeto Vera when thinking of Alejandro is the last thing I want to do, man. I don't want to picture Alejandro with that mustache and hairdo and think, like, oh Jesus, that face and that body just do not combine well for me. Yeah, Kana Watanabe is really good at doing, the whole Ronda Rousey bit. Well, rather, I should say, doing the whole flipping judo style grappling. She's not, she doesn't do, jujitsu or any sort of offensive wrestling or anything. But that being said, if she can't pull that off, I don't think she'll be able to beat Alejandra. I think Alejandra's, I wouldn't say a complete fighter, but she does have enough on her. Looks like she has UFC gloves on there for some reason.
The Tapology page, I didn't notice that until now.
Yeah, I was looking at that and I was like, huh, interesting. Because I guess maybe Cheeto let her borrow those. That's pretty funny. But yeah, I don't think unless Kana can maybe do the whole Ronda Rousey versus her first few opponents in the UFC where she flips them and does the whole armbar thing. In the first round, I don't think she's gonna have enough to, unless you can keep her on the ground and like sit on her face, whatever. For the whole 3 rounds, I don't believe she's. I don't believe her style warrants me even thinking that. I think Alejandra's gonna piece her up on the feet, and just kind of jab away at her, and maybe hopefully try some combos. But Alejandra's probably gonna want to keep this on her feet, so I think her movement, with her movement, she's gonna try to keep this as far from the ground as she can. But Kana's probably going to want to get her against the cage, or just try to get her to the ground however she can. But I think Alejandra's going to have enough to outpoint her for the 3 rounds, and yeah, she's going to get that decision. Now the odds, I think, are fairly accurate. It's like in the minus 100s and plus 155 for Kana. But this is women's MMA, so I would stay as far away from that. And not only that, but this is Bellator, women's MMA, so it's, I should say, a little bit more. But if you are going to picture anybody, if you are going to put somebody's head on Alejandra, it should be Dos de Guerra. At least she'll have the red stripe. That looks pretty cool and pretty menacing. I would say he has a pretty menacing mustache as well. Yeah, but I'll be taking Alejandra Lara by split decision, if that. Unless Kana somehow is super aggressive in the first round and manages to submit her, but I don't think she'll have. I think Alejandra will have enough to get by on at the very least split decision, but I see her getting that decision.
In the co-main event, we've got at welterweight, Neiman Gracie versus Jason, the ass-kicking machine Jackson. I try to do my best Michael C. William impression. But yeah, Jason Jackson coming in here. Really, really been enjoying what he's been doing in Bellator, mainly because he beat the crap out of Benson Henderson his last fight 3 months ago. He's been very, very good at improving. Like he shows up one fight looking a certain way, like, oh, he's not too bad. His striking's pretty good. Then next fight, completely different guy, just defending takedowns, going for takedowns. Just I really, really like this guy, especially that nickname, the ass kicking machine. What can I say about it? As for Neiman Gracie, he's a guy that I actually been counting out quite a bit. His fight with Ed Ruth when there was the welterweight Grand Prix, I picked against him. I thought Ed Ruth was just going to be the overall better MMA fighter, although these two guys are similar in their disciplines. One was a wrestler, the other one was a jiu-jitsu guy. and their striking wasn't really up to par. And I thought, you know what? I think Ed Ruth is going to beat him in 5 rounds. He'll just grind him out. Nope, gets him in the rear naked choke. And I was pretty damn impressed. As for Rory Mcdonald, that loss to Rory Mcdonald for Neiman, it just showed that there's levels to the game and you have to kind of level up eventually. So it does pose that issue that if you can stuff his takedowns and just outstrike him by the bare minimum, you're going to beat this guy by decision. This being a 3-round fight reduces the amount of chances that Neiman can get you in a submission, because that's what he's going to do. That name just gives it away. He's not going to go for flying, I don't know, elbows a la Macho Man or anything like that. He's going to try to submit you. His last fight was against John Fitch, where he submitted him by a heel hook. Yeah, I've always kind of been a fan of John Fitch, and he submitted him by heel hook, and it's not the greatest win at this time. However old John Fitch is, I'm going to say like 38 or so. There's some pretty good value on Jason Jackson. The odds right now, minus 165 for Gracie, plus 135 for Jackson. It's a tough one. Really, it's how confident are you in Jason Jackson's takedown defense? There's one particular thing that I kind of notice about this, and that's the height and reach. Neiman is 6 foot tall. Jason Jackson's 6'1". Neiman's reach is 74 inches. Jason Jackson's is 77 and a half. So he does have a reach advantage. But when it comes to fighting a Gracie, having a long arm isn't always a good thing, because that's prime to get arm barshed. So I got to go with Neiman Gracie to get this one by submission. I think he will control Jason Jackson. I think he has improved his striking enough to, do the Curtis Blades and then go for a takedown, but this won't end in a uppercut from Jason Jackson knocking out Neiman Gracie. So I think he will complete the takedown and potentially get the armbar win. So I'll get Neiman Gracie to win by a 2nd-round submission.
I'm actually going with Jason Jackson on this one. I think he's got enough awareness to avoid that that Gracie grip, or whatever you want to call it. And Neiman isn't exactly Royce or what's the other Gracie guy? Who has kind of a Jersey, New York accent. What's his name?
Oh God, it's funny. I can list them on any other day, but at almost midnight in my end, I can't remember most of the Gracies.
Yeah, there's Royce and whatever. But anyway, he's yeah. I mean, these are Gracies are known for their grappling. I don't think there's any Gracie that's ever been known for their highly skilled striking per se. And I think that's where Jackson's going to have the ass kicking advantage in this particular fight, and that's where I think his reach is going to come in as well. Gracie, for the life of him, he's going to do his best to get this to the ground and get top position. But I think Jackson's going to probably do well to stay on his feet. I think he's going to get the decision here, being that I think he did fairly well against Bendo, well enough to not get smothered and just have it be a boring fight where Bendo's kind of sitting on him. Now, on the flip side, Neiman didn't do so well against the Canadian Psycho, Rory Mcdonald. He got decisioned. He didn't get finished, but that's because Rory, if you know anything about Rory, he's got some issues, man. I'm not going to go into all these issues. We only have a certain amount of time here. But one of those issues is finishing. Going back to, I think, his Tyrone Woodley fight, he didn't really finish Tyrone. I think he had the chance to, but he didn't. Long story short, if Rory McDonald didn't, anyway, wait, where the hell was I going with this? Anyway, I think I took, I think I should have taken a left turn at Albuquerque, but I didn't. So long story short, I'm going with Jason Jackson for the decision. Hopefully a TKO. If he can, so that he can really live up to his nickname. Just like last week, as I said with Sean O'Malley, the co-main dropped out, and he was going to have the opportunity to showcase his skills, and he did. I think this is a good opportunity for Jason. Not that he is the co-main event, so he's going to have to, especially making putting a Gracie on his resume. He's going to further elevate him because he's 97 on the welterweight list. Yeah, he's going to have to do something spectacular here to get himself up there, and I think he'll be. I don't know if he'll be able to. I'm hoping so, but anyway, I'll stop rambling on. Jason Jackson by decision, but hoping for a TKO.
In our main event for the Bellator Featherweight Championship and progressing to the finals of the Grand Prix, we've got the rematch between Patricio Pitbull and Emmanuel Sanchez, El Matador. In reality, this is honestly a Pitbull versus a Rottweiler, because although Patricio is nicknamed Pitbull, I see the dog in Emmanuel Sanchez. If you see the way this guy fights, he fights like as if, I don't know how to put it. Like if he was Goku and he is doing the spirit bomb, and all the power of all the Mexican boxers and fighters are like going into his body. That's the way this dude fights. He's always live. He's always a dog in there. And this is the rematch, right? The rematch between these two guys. Pitbull won the first encounter by decision, and Emmanuel Sanchez has just been grinding it. That was his last loss, and since then he's beaten, not the greatest competition when it comes to Gregory. I can't even pronounce the last name. I don't think you guys even care. He did beat Taiwan Claxton, Eric Claxton, who I actually really like this guy. I thought he got robbed in his last fight, but Taiwan Claxton is a really good explosive guy, and he submitted this guy by a triangle choke, and he fought Daniel Weichel in a rematch. Sanchez did, and he looked so damn good. He honestly beat Daniel Weichel pillar to post in that fight to advance to the next position to fight Patricio. And I just see him being so damn live in this fight. Currently, the odds are minus 325 for Patricio, plus 250 for Emmanuel Sanchez. And I know I'm gloating about Emmanuel Sanchez a lot because I am a fan of this guy. I've been watching him for quite a bit of time. He's been just overperforming. Patricio Pitbull is a killer at this point in time in Bellator. In my opinion, he's just as good as some of the top dudes in the UFC right now when it comes to like Volkanovski, for example. I think he should be ranked above Volkanovski when it comes to the overall featherweight top rankings, because of course we know already, we've heard about it. He knocked out our boy Michael Chandler, so he is currently the champ at featherweight and lightweight. And man, this guy has the power. Literally, he can knock you out with one punch. And there's a very good X factor when it comes to Patricio Pitbull, and that is our good friend Quadruple C, Henry Cejudo. And the additional C is for coach, because this dude has really helped some guys turn around when it comes to fight ready. And huge X factor always puts a doubt in my mind, because there are ways you can beat Patricio Pitbull. And I think Emmanuel Sanchez knows those ways. Like, you have to wear on him, you have to make him tired, you have to just beat him up, bring out the dog, right? You have to make it a bloodbath. And I think Emmanuel Sanchez can do that. And he has some physical advantages. He's 5'9" compared to the 5'6" Patricio Pitbull. And if you see them together next to each other, Emmanuel Sanchez looks way bigger. I know I'm making kind of a big deal about it, but when it comes to Patricio, I don't think that really matters. He's just so damn well rounded. He can knock you out and he can choke you out. And it really, really comes down to how confident you are in Patricio being able to knock out Emmanuel Sanchez, because he does have the power to stop him. But if he can't stop Emmanuel Sanchez, I think Emmanuel at this point in his career, he might be thinking this is maybe the last time I'm ever going to fight for a title. He really wants to get that win back, and he does really well with rematches. So I will pick Emmanuel Sanchez to win. It might be a biased pick, but I just see something in this guy who just is so hungry to win. So I will pick him to win by decision. I think he's going to just really wear on Patricio Pitbull in the later rounds. I think he's going to lose maybe the first and the second, but he will win the last 3 rounds with his just tenacity and perseverance. I am kind of rooting for Pitbull because whoever wins this fight gets to fight A.J McKee next. And I would love to see a fight between Pitbull and A.J McKee. I think that's like the marquee fight that people really want to see. I really want to see it. But I do think Emmanuel Sanchez will get this one and unfortunately lose it to A.J McKee. But I will go with Emmanuel Sanchez to win this one by decision.
You're right. Bellator doesn't have a lot of marquee fights. I think that's definitely one that they don't want to lose on. So I think one way or another, Patricio's gonna win, unless the only way I can see Emmanuel Sanchez winning is by like submission or knockout. But I think Patricio's fighter IQ is way too high for that. I don't think he's gonna get caught. And while yes, Emmanuel does have a size advantage on him, Patricio has shown, this guy knocked out Chandler, who in turn knocked out the other dude, not too long ago, who in turn knocked out, can go on and on. But I think Bellator is kind of funny. Bellator resembles professional boxing, to sort of, to an extent of they're very careful with their matchups. They match up guys to, where to the point where they're actually developing guys, they're kind of forcing that development. And by that, I mean, if they see somebody has some star potential, they'll feed guys to, to that particular guy to, bring them up or whatever. And then until they hopefully have a star and that guy has enough star power to kind of push the brand, kind of how they do in boxing, where they're very careful about their matchups, to keep a guy on the roll and, get a superstar in their hands that sells a ton of pay-per-views.
They don't do a very good job sometimes. I'll let you know, dude, because Aaron Pico got fed to the wolves.
Oh, yeah.
God, they gave him like a 14-1 guy for his debut. And then everyone's surprised when he gets submitted in the first fucking 10 seconds of the fight. They're like, what happened?
Yeah, I think currently one of those guys is definitely AJ. Mm-hmm. I think Patricio will pull off the decision, but I think he'll pull it off by winning the last 3 rounds. I think Emmanuel's going to come out aggressive, probably outpoint him in the first 2 rounds. But I think Patricio's fighter IQ and his experience is going to come around, rounds 3, 4 in the championship rounds, and he's going to get those via decision. I don't know if he'll be able to knock him out because Sanchez is looking pretty mean in that Bellator poster on the Tapology page. He's looking pretty buff and pretty mean. He has those eyebrows. Anyway, so I think that they're trying to set up that marquee fight with AJ, and so unfortunately for Emmanuel, it's Pitbull's going to get the nod, I believe, which would suck because why not give the guy, why not him? But unfortunately, it's Pitbull's time right now. Not to say that Emmanuel can't or won't be able to, pull anything off in the future in case Patricio loses the title or anything. But yeah, I'm just gonna ride the Pitbull wave, Mr. 305, Mr. 305, Patricio Pitbull, darling.
So you got Pitbull by decision?
Pretty much, yeah.
So you're saying that the card's already out there? The 50-45 is already written up for Patricio Pitbull?
No, I think it's going to be closer than that. I think it's going to be like, what is it, 48-47 or 49-48 or something. I think Emmanuel's going to put up a fight, but I think Pitbull's just got that, he's on that extra level. He's a level above him at the moment. And speaking of Volkanovski, man, Volkanovski's overrated. I personally think on the MMA pound for pound rankings, Pitbull should definitely be above Volkanovski. Volkanovski, he got lucky, fighting a punch drunk Max Holloway in the first fight, and overconfident Max Holloway in the second fight. I think if they do the trilogy with Max Holloway, he's got, I think, enough fire back in him to piece up Volkanovski, because Volkanovski, you know what? I'm giving Volkanovski too much credit, because I don't think he's going to get past what's his name, Brian Ortega. So I think they're going to do the rematch. I think Brian Ortega is going to beat Volkanovski, and then Brian Ortega and Holloway are going to take it back. But I think this time Brian Ortega is going to beat Holloway.
Oh, thanks a lot for ruining the prediction when that fight happens.
You heard it here first.
And those have been our picks for Bellator 255, Pitbull versus Sanchez 2. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram and the Twitters. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. Leave a comment. We love the comments.
Especially ones that say that GSP sucks, because he does.
We're split on that one, but but yeah, that's been Johnny and Jose with Tiger Bomb MMA, Bellator 255. We'll catch you at the next Bellator fight.